about that, ladies. The doorbell went. So what I was attempting to say was the snippet roll I've done because I wanted it to have some sort of a clasp. So I've got a piece of lace that I made a little bit of a slit in when I was making the length up using the bits of satin up. Maybe I should do it on a video. How I do it on a video, perhaps. Yeah, yes, perhaps I should do one of them. Anyway, so when I was making the actual base of it up, I made a slit about, let me show you, I'm going to pretend this is satin, about that much, so that a piece of this could go through it. Let me show you. And it could be popped out at the other end. And then I had this one attached on the very end, so that when it was rolled up, I could have it as my tie base. So that's my tie. So I'm going to talk you through it. So let me open it up. I'm so excited to show you. So I'm just going to move these, and I've just been packing this because I had to wait for the person to go when the door went. So I'm going to open it up. So like I say, Belinda mentioned she loved teddy bears. So I went out shopping in the charity shop, of course. It's one of my favourite shops to go in. And I came across this little teddy bear, and originally it had a red bow on, and it's been crocheted, and it had a pin in, an actual pin in. So what I did was I took the pin out because of customs. I didn't want them stopping the snippet roll going to Australia because of the pin. So I took the pin out. I've sewed the back up, but I didn't crochet this, Belinda. I bought it. But what I did do to it was, I'm going to zoom you in for this because I love doing this little teddy bear for you. I wrapped the same bit of ribbon that I put around it, round its neck, and then I put two little buttons on that I had from Carol for my birthday. So thank you, Carol. My buttons are going. I love my buttons you sent me. So I put two of them on, and then I used some cross stitch thread, and I've sewed in a bee for Belinda. So my sweetheart, you can keep it as it is, or you can take it off, completely up to you. But that's what I did. I put a little bee on for you. So I thought you were super cute. And if I had enough time, I would have put a hat on, or you could make a handbag, or you can add to it. So that is a key ring, and I had to put a couple of stitches in it because it has got a bit of a weight to it. So you can snip these off, and you can also snip these off as well, because this isn't sewed onto the main base. But all these like brown little threads, just find them and just snip them off. Same goes with this little charm elephant I had in my stash. And elephants are supposed to be lucky, so I've put a little charm elephant on for you too. So getting further into the snippet roll, I have made a little flower. Again, all just loosely sewed on. So just find the threads and snip them off, because that's the idea, that our snippet roll was useful to the person receiving it. So this is the main flower, but underneath that you've got a piece of this that is separate to the flower. You've got a piece of this Italian lace, which is again separate to the flower. So you'll have, once you unclip all this, you'll have the flower as one piece, you'll have that as one piece, this is one piece, and then you'll have a piece of, let me find it, this. You'll have a piece of this, which, like I say, it's all been hand sewn, and just find the little threads and snip them off. So I'm going to open it up a little bit more. So on this bit I have put some of this ribbon. This ribbon has been in my stash for like forever. I only had a little bit of it left, and it's got some beads on, and it's seam binding. Yeah, no, it's not seam binding. Yeah, it's seam binding. What am I on about? It's seam binding, it's not ribbon. And so again, I've only attached, and you can probably see the little stitches that goes across, and that goes under there, that side, and then it also travels all the way up here, so there's a good length of it. And amongst all that, I've put a piece of applique on that you can snip away, and then when you've unsnipped all this, you'll find that the base layer, when you've taken everything off, is completely different to the back. But this, I would presume, it's totally up to you what side you use, but I've made it so that it's this side you use, but it's totally up to you what side you use, as after all, it's your snippet roll. So this piece, I made a little thing to hold some lace, and I'm just going to show you the lace I popped in. I popped in some of this pink lace. Had it in my stash, and I just thought, do you know what, it was on one of my spools, so I've put some of that in, and I'm not going to wind this back up right now. I'll wind it back up later. So with this, again, you can snip this off, and you'll find a piece of scrap material, and then that button again was given to me by Carol for my birthday, but I know Carol gave me the buttons, but I desperately wanted to use some of them, so there's that button there. So this is completely separate, so you can cut up, you can cut to your heart's content on the snippet roll. These bead strings you can cut away and use. They're just sewn in with a couple of stitches. I haven't tied anything, just hand sewn. So everything I've showed you up until now has all been hand sewn on. I spent many hours doing this and absolutely loved doing it, and definitely want to be making another one soon. So as you guys know, I'm really into my vintage, and Belinda had mentioned she loves shabby chic and pink, and she does love vintage and pastel colors. So I tried to make this as a shabby chic as I could, but I wanted to put something in there. Even though I was making it for her, I wanted to put something in there that inspires me. So what I've done is I have put a piece of, there's the base, it's just made up of scraps. I've put a piece of vintage wedding dressing. I have put some muslin, which that's not vintage, it's just in there, and then I've put some vintage ribbons in. You know those packs I had to buy? Well, I've put some in for you, sweetheart, for you to play about with, and they just folded there. So when you unsnip all this, you'll have all this to play with. There's some vintage wedding dress buttons, and then this was actually when I made Angie's ribbon, I placed one of these on top, and she didn't know at the time when she did a video, because I had forgot to mention to her, but this actually comes off a very vintage old bracelet. I picked it up in a charity shop. I did pay a little bit more, but it was totally worth it, and I've up until now only used 2 pieces. One was on Angie's project that I made her before Christmas, and one is on this, because I just thought I wanted to put something a little bit of vintage in, and a little bit thing that inspires me, so that's why that's gone in. So my next bit I want to show you, which you'll soon recognize, I've put some more appliques in. This is what the base looks like underneath. It's very shabby, very pink. The more pink fabrics I could sew on this, it went on. So you've got like a range of between different materials, lace, fabrics, the lot. It's went on all there. And then that fabric there is what I made the Tilda doll out of. So I just had a little bit left over, so I've added that. Again, this is just added on. I've left all the strings there for you to snip off. This section here, there's some more applique that you can snip off here. This section was inspired by Angie. Angie loves her hearts, and when she made me my pin book, which I often use, in there's a heart that she made out of fabric, and I absolutely loved the idea of her laying different sizes heart, and then she sewed it. So I took that inspiration and I made a bit of a shabby chic one. So what I did was I had a bit of a heart applique. I used the eyelash trim that Sarah sent over, and then I made some bows on my bow maker because I thought, get it out and make it. And then I had this sewing button in my stash, and I just thought yeah, why not? Because Belinda did say that she loved pastel colours. So when I was making the bow, I wanted the a bit of green and a bit of pastels to go on this. And then underneath that, I've sewed on some seed beads. So Belinda, when you take that off, be careful because they might pop everywhere. But there's only a few, and it's just a little dangle. I just wanted something small to go underneath. I'm going to raise you up ever so slightly if I can. I do apologise for the shaking. And then this section, as you saw in Belinda, me and Belinda must have been thinking the same, because Belinda had actually put pictures in mine, and I think I've only put one in Belinda's. I was like, I got to about here when I was doing it, and I thought, because I was doing a section at a time each night, and I thought, well, what can I put in, something different that Belinda hasn't seen before? And I just thought this picture was so cute, and I know how much she's going to thrive off that, because I often see pictures of little girls and women in her projects, so I know she's going to love that. So that's sewed on with some green stitching on each side, so you can again snip it off. So this section I have just sewed various different materials on. You've got some more vintage buttons here, Belinda, my sweet. You've got some like the fabric ones, the field fabric satin ones. I've come off a vintage wedding dress, and then the pearl one actually came off. The pearl one came off another vintage wedding dress. They've both come off two vintage wedding dresses. There was a vintage button I had in my stash because I love my vintage buttons, so I put that in. Then this section, again, I've made a piece. Thank you, Chris, for my tea. I've made a piece of fabric that I've sewn. This is the sari silk ribbon that I recently purchased off Etsy, and I have done a video on where I got it from. But this one's actually got flowers on, and I love apps. I'm totally and utterly in love with it. So I had to put a section of that in for you. And then I have dotted around in here, which I will show you in a second, some charms. So this is a little flower charm, again, where you can snip it off. And then we recently did a butterfly challenge. And I know Belinda was commenting on a lot of everybody's creations that had entered into the butterfly challenge. And I just thought, I had bought this for that challenge, and I just thought, I know how much she's going to thrive off it. No, it's not pink. No, it's not shabby chic, but it is so pretty. And I know that Belinda will have so much fun using it, and it does go a long way. If you cut the butterflies, you can cut the butterflies out individually, or you can use the ribbon as it is. You can use it as like that. What I tend to do is just cut the individual butterflies out, and then the pieces that are in between, I stick them on my project as is. So that's that. So that's that bit explained. Then this section was the lace I purchased in the range that you all saw me purchase. Behind that is, I had to put my crochet pieces in here. As you all know, I've been learning to crochet, and I absolutely am hooked. I made a blanket for my mum for Christmas. I've made numerous little crochet pieces and bits and bobs, and I had to put a crochet doily in there that I've done. So I've made this doily up, and I've crocheted it. But Belinda, my sweetheart, again, you can cut the thread. And then this section is just something I had in my stash. It's something I purchased from a shop, and I just thought, because Belinda said she loved pastels, I just thought that fitted in well. But she can take that off, and as you can see, it's loose stitching. But that's what the doily looks like underneath. I'm going to be making more of them. So there's that. Then I've stuck another piece of applique. That's what the backing looks like on this. I could have stuck more and more and more, but I had to stop myself from doing so. So this section, I'm going to open it up. This is the seam binding I had from that lovely shop on eBay. And in this one, I've put this ribbon in. And it's really, it reminds me of Gypsy projects. It's absolutely stunning. So I had to put a section of that in. And I think I got that. It was either from Country Baskets or a craft fair. It was one of the two. I can't remember which two exactly and on what order they came, but I know Belinda will absolutely love it, and it feels like silk, but it's not. I know what I'm trying to say. It's not silk, but it feels that kind of softness. So on this one, I decided to put layer some bits of material. Belinda, my sweet, on this snippet roll you'll find like bits of thread, and where you find the bits of thread means you can sort of snip them off. So on this one I decided to put a little teapot charm. When I'm crafting, 9 times out of 10 I often have a cup of tea in my craft room, and like I say, this snippet roll was things that I know Belinda would like, and I know what Belinda had said in the group, but it's things that mean quite a lot to me too. So I wanted to put that in there as well, so she could not only see the things that she enjoyed, but get inspiration from the things that I get inspiration from. Anyway, I know what I'm trying to say. So I put this little teapot charm in, and it says on there, tea time, actually says on there, and she can snip that off and reuse it. Then on the top, again, just various different like fabrics, laces. That spool button, they're really hard to come by, and that one I had from a craft fair. I went with my mum and I picked up a pack, and they was like, must have been like 10 in a pack, and they were really expensive for what they were, but they were so unusual I had to pick it up. So Belinda, my sweet, I've put one in there. There's another vintage button there. If I move over, I've done another one of my crocheted doilies, which I hand crocheted myself. Then I've put 3 little roses in, ribbon roses. I haven't made them. There was just something in my stash that I really wanted to use. There's a piece of applique, and then you'll find another piece of crocheted doily behind that, and that's another piece that I had actually crocheted that I wanted to put in. So there's actually 3 pieces on this snippet roll. Behind that, then I've just filled it with like some muslin, some bits of ribbon, some bits of lace. I've got some multicolored ribbon at the bottom, some eyelash trim that Sarah had given me. This is the lace I had from the range, lace I had from Shilpa, some more vintage buttons because the girl can't get enough vintage buttons, some more laces, some more fabrics, just filled it up full of all sorts. Then, of course, I had to make one of my flowers. Now, if you guys will know me, you'll know I've been in such a flower craze at the moment. Been making them so nearly enough every night. And with this one, you'll have to sort of bring it out a little bit. But with this one, I mixed some wedding lining, and I mixed some silk, and mixed them both together. And I've also got in between that as well muslin. But this is one flower, so again, there's the stitches there, so you can easily snip them away. I've put a key on here, dangled a key on there, and that sign means a symbol of friendship, key to a friendship. So I had to put that in there. That's what I think of it anyway. Some more beading. So I've got some green beading, some white beading, some more of this seam binding, and then between the seam binding, there's another little button charm that Belinda can cut. And then this is my masterpiece. This is the bit that I was like most proud of doing. This is actually a button that I took a piece of vintage lace, and I sat for many hours doing embroidery ribbon, and I created using various ribbons, some what they call it, thread, some tulle, and I created the pattern that was on the vintage lace just by doing some embroidery work. And then once I'd finished, I had got a piece of material, just cotton material, and then I stitched all the way around with a button between the two layers, stitched all the way around. So when you undo this, Belinda sweetheart, which it's just there in pink, you'll find that you're able to stick that on your projects, and then all this, all the seam minding and all that, that'll also come away with it. So I will show you now from sort of end to beginning what it looks like. That is the meaning behind my snippet roll. I really do hope you've really loved watching me explain what I've put in and why I've put the things in I put in, because I really thoroughly enjoy doing it. Like you say, I could have, like, I wanted to add more, but I realized that if I did that, it would there would be no room on there for starters. I would have to add an extra piece. But I must say, Miss Dee Dee, you came up with this challenge and it's absolutely magnificent. And I love and absolutely adore the way I've put that teddy bear in. And I've put the letter B on for Belinda. I really do hope you've loved that. I've loved showing you every second of this. Like I say, I've made a little postcard for Belinda and a little envelope. I've actually put some laces in it while I was waiting for the front door to disappear. And then this is the back. So as you can see, just a piece of satin and a bit of lace. And I haven't been particular about you know, whether it matched up. As you can, if you look, it's different widths. You see it's different widths. And that's because, you can see now, that's because I didn't do it the same length because it was made out of scraps. So I really do hope you loved every second of me showing you this. I absolutely loved doing this. It was something I truly love doing, and it's something that I am really proud of to be able to send off. It was some of my projects, I love doing everything I make, but there's always one or two projects where I sort of sit back and I think that was really quite special, and this has to be one of them. Please let me know what you think. Belinda is on YouTube. I will leave Belinda's YouTube channel in the description bar below. I will also leave our group channel in the description bar below. And please let me know what you guys think. Would you like to see a video on how I created the snippet roll? I know I would love to show you how I created this. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Until my next video, take care. Have a lovely rest of the day. Bye for now.